I love it. So I'm going to ask a couple questions and we'll open up to the group. So what is the toughest decision you ever had to make as a CEO of a global organization?
Is this one or that one?
You have to use that one.
I'll use that one. Toughest decision, by far, it was having to lay somebody off. To even, my hope and why I said we cut the fat and then we cut the muscle before we cut the bone was how do I allow everyone to survive? And when it reached the point where I knew I couldn't, that I had to eliminate some, otherwise I would lose all, that was the toughest decision ever because it involves lives. Business decisions you can handle and you can make those decisions easier. But when you're dealing with people, it's harder.
Whether at your time at Remax or after, what do you want your legacy to be?
I'm at the. I was asked earlier, what do I miss and what don't I? And you may find it hard to believe, but I don't miss just being a title. I really like being Margaret now. And titles get in the way. Titles are who you are or what you are, your title, but who you are is what's in here. And so I love being a person, and I'm at the point in my life now where I really don't, I'm out to fill my spirit, not my wallet. Now my legacy is, okay, how do I help educate and teach, and what difference can I make in the world as I go forward? Because I've had a phenomenal career, it's been very successful, but now how do I help somebody else be able to do that too?
Love it. So if there's someone in the room right now who aspires to be a CEO of a global organization, what would be your words of wisdom or advice to them?
Pull up your pants really high like that last photo. Oh yeah, and wear that cute little, I'll just tell you on that last photo, can you pull that up again or is that too, oh never mind, don't worry, sorry. I just want you to know that I was dressed in that photo for a gymnastic meet. Yes, that is what I wore doing the pommel horse and doing cartwheels. That's what a little cute school back in the 60s did. But, okay, back to. I think the biggest thing in any business, whether you're CEO or, man, you are head of the mailroom, is have a relationship with the people you work with. And have a relationship. It is much harder to have a relationship with people above you, but the people above you want that. I always said invitations only go downhill. Nobody would invite the CEO to come over to dinner, but they would love it if the CEO would invite them. And too many people were afraid because the title was above them for them to actually reach out and do things. So have the relationship with people and get to know them, and it's okay to be human. And the most important thing in my mind is, just like me showing you that silly picture, it's okay to be vulnerable and it's okay to be real. It's all right.
Those are good. Okay, let's open up to the group. Oh, we got a round of applause for it. Then we're going to open it here. Okay,
right.
What are the questions we have? Yes?
What would be the daily habit that could improve tough time, and if you could also indicate emotion that you could remember those tough times, what would you do?
Okay.
So what are the daily habits that pulled you through or helped you through those tough times? And what are some of the emotions that you went through at that time?
Okay. Daily habits was I did not sleep. Isn't it funny? And how many in here have you ever woken up every single night at the same exact minute? Yes. Mine was 2:22 every single night. Exactly. I would just go, okay. But I literally would get up and at 2:22 I'd wake up. And I would get ready to go into work. I mean, and I remember my husband would put his arm over and he'd go, no. You're not going to work yet. I'd get up around 4 and go in. But good habits that I did is I always did my homework. And during the day I would work, but say I had an interview on Fox or CNBC the next day, we had a studio in our office that I would be beamed in. And so I would do my homework. I would say for every minute I'm on the air, I would do an hour to 2 of research at night to make sure, because you never know what they're going to ask. And so it's do your homework when people don't see it, and then you walk in and you've got it down. But you've got to do so much behind the scenes that most people don't know. And I'll be really vulnerable. I had a lot of emotions, good and bad. And one time, my husband was looking for me in the house and he couldn't find me, and all of a sudden he opens my closet door and there I am sitting on the floor of my closet crying. And he looks in there in the dark and he goes, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, I've had a bad day." And then I looked at him and I said, "I think Warren Buffett does this." And he looked at me and he said, "Yes, I think Warren Buffett does that." And he closed the door and he left. But I mean, you gotta let it out. And I mean, guys are better. Girls cry a little bit more. I mean, I'm not weepy, but every so often you just gotta get it out, and then you get back up again and you go do it. So the other thing I would say is don't let everybody knock on your door every minute. Schedule your own private time to be able to think and plan and do on your calendar. And then after that, doors wide open. But I needed my time to make sure I was clear. So.
It's true. Question over here. Yes.
What advice would you have for somebody who is stepping into that somewhat unknown space where they don't quite know the angles and the self-doubt talk track is starting?
So what would be your advice for someone who's looking into stepping into an unknown space, words of wisdom, and also combating that self-doubt and mindset?
Say, "No, I'm not ready." No. No, don't doubt yourself. You know what? Everybody has doubts. It doesn't matter who you are. You will always have doubts. But the fact is, you know you can do it, and go for it. And just realize you are not going to have every answer. And it's okay for your staff to know you don't have every answer. I would admit to them, "Okay, guys, here's the problem. I don't have a solution. What have you got?" And we would go around. Now, I would be the ultimate one that could make the decision, but when you get feedback and input from other people, it really helps, because then they have buy-in, because they felt like they're part of the process. But probably one of the most important things is just, you're gonna have doubts, but don't let it hold you back. There was it's so dorky, but it just hit me. Anybody remember the Spider-Man movie? Where Uncle Ben is meeting with Peter Parker, and they've gone to the library, and anyway, Uncle Ben says, "With great power comes great responsibility." And that was right at the time where I was being offered the role of president of RE/MAX, and I didn't say no, but my mind was thinking no, because I had just gone through breast cancer and different things, and it's like, do I want this in my life? And I remember I'm at this movie with the family, and that line just smacked me, and I said, "Wait a minute, I'm given this opportunity, I can do this." So I would say just look at what the responsibility and how positive it is, and go for it.
Love it. You got a question right there?
Yes, throughout your career, especially in leadership roles, did you find yourself trying to build upon your strengths or improve upon your weaknesses?
So throughout your career and leadership role, were you focusing on building upon your strengths or improving upon your weaknesses? Good question.
Because I only had weaknesses in the beginning, honestly, I had to improve on all of that. I never in high school or college took a speech class, because I was never going to speak in front of anybody, and then I end up in front of 10,000 people. And so there are certain things you have to improve on your weaknesses, and other things that you say, "Okay, I've got to supplement that." And so I had to define what ones I wanted to improve and what ones I wanted to supplement. And fortunately, a lot of you may know Vinny Tracy, who has come to this. He was president of RE/MAX when I was CEO, and Vinny had this great skill set of sales, and he was a guy that could just, he was a great motivator. And so when I was sometimes really pulled back with a lot of the financial end and some of the things that took too much time, Vinny could go and do that. So surround yourself with people that can help you maybe where you're deficit, if you will, and you're focused over here.
You bet. You got a question over here? Yes.
I will.
Can you speak a little bit how you juggled or
Personal
balanced
and
business
balance.
and professional? By the way, there's a fan up here, and
I
we're
know.
just like, we can barely hear. We're just reading lips at this point. At least I am, so I'll speak for myself. But you must be.
I think she said, "What did I have for dinner?" Actually, yeah. Well, and I heard a wonderful speaker who does coaching on millennials and the transition in employees now. And, you know, our philosophy used to be work-life balance. Well, the fact is, work and life are the same. It isn't one or the other. But I have 2 sons, and you know, it was hard. And fortunately, I had have a phenomenal husband who really balanced things, and he didn't travel as much as I did on the job. But I would take both their school calendars, I would put it on my calendar, and then I would book around it. They never knew some of the sacrifices that I had to make, but I didn't care because I was able to go. For instance, in high school, there was a particular event that always happened on the weekend of our big international convention in Vegas or in Florida. And I couldn't miss either one. So I would go to the convention on Saturday, actually on Sunday morning. I would jump on a plane, I would fly home, I would go to this event with the kids, I would get back on a plane at 10 at night, I would fly all night to get back, and I would be on stage doing an MC in front of 8,000 to 10,000 people at 8 o'clock the next morning. And they didn't know that. I mean, they probably did, but they didn't think. But it didn't matter, because sometimes just as a mom, you sacrifice that to make it work. But the other times I couldn't, you sit down and talk to them and say, I am not going to be able to make this. Oh, okay, but I am going to make these, and these. And so you just learn how to balance it. Now, that's before I had a computer at home and, you know, all the things. Technology now makes it so you don't necessarily have to be in a particular spot at a particular time. And it does help you balance that a lot more.
And for the dads in the room, you have to do the same thing if you're a dad, in case
Yeah.
you're wondering. Just because you're a mom,
Yes,
it's because,
that's true.
yeah,
That's true.
just putting it in there for what it's worth.
Okay, okay.
Okay, let's go to the back of the room for a second, and we'll come back to the front. Anyone in the back? I want to make sure nobody gets mad at me. Luke, are you allowed to ask a question because you're from Michigan, or no? I know. We love you. What's your question, Luke?
28 years in the real estate industry, now retired. What industry would bring you back in to be a CEO again?
So it's kind of like a Godfather question. They keep sucking me back in. Is that what we're talking about? Like the Godfather? Hey, hey. So the question is, after 28 years of being in the real estate industry, what industry would bring you back in?
It's got to be an offer. I can't refuse, right?
I like it.
Actually, I would love to go back into real estate if there was something there. But actually, right now I'm doing a lot of board work. I was, as I said, I was honored to be on the Federal Reserve Board for 7 years, director for 5, chair for 2. And talk about going into that in 2010 when everything is crazy, and to hear what the Federal Reserve had to say, and then for them to call up and say, what's going on with housing? I've got to vote on the FOMC. You know, what do you think about this, and this? And so that was pretty cool. So if I could do more boards like that, I don't know if I'd go back into a full CEO, but I certainly would love to either consult or do board stuff going forward. So thank you.
We're hoping that she's going to join us at North Star Commercial Partners, but I mean, sorry.
North Star Commercial.
There you
yes.
go. I like it. Okay, Nicole?
Right? For starters, I just want to say that you're refreshing. People want to hear stories of how authentic you are. And
Thank you.
Bring it home.
Thank you.
And knowing that we're all imperfect and we all screw up and we all make mistakes, but yet we overcome, and we have a great God who helps us to do that as well. So I wanted to share that 2010, I went up to Boulder to the real estate conference, and one of the things that they said, they talked about all the banks and what was failing and what was ahead and Wells Fargo and this and that and that.
Yeah.
They said one of the things that stuck out to me with real estate is they said you could have the best realtor ever. You could have the one that did everything perfect, and still that person who was in front of you in that moment of you wanting to sell your house, they would choose that person 90% of the time who's in front of you versus that person that did everything perfect in their past. They wouldn't reach back to that person. And so that example, did you have to improvise to teach your people to do anything different during that really hard time? Like, did you, like how did you, and were you able to hit all the stores and talk to all those people and actually make a difference in a movement that they weren't used to?
So the question
I
is,
want to know how you're going to summarize that.
first of all, you're doing a great job and you're encouraging. That took care of the first part.
Okay.
They're pretty good. I can break it down. The question is, in the down economy, did you have to retrain and retool your people to adapt to the new reality to be effective in the workplace? And did you go around and travel around to teach them those skills?
Well done.
Try.
Wow.
I have a 25-year-old daughter, and she goes on and on and on. I have to get to the point. So it's like, there's the point.
I got the
it.
meat.
Got
Forget
it.
the
Yeah.
bread. Yeah, I got it.
Took a while. Trust me. Not perfect either, let me tell you.
So, yes, during the downturn especially, like I said, distressed properties. So there are no buyers. So if you think about it, we had to go out there and teach our agents, how do you deal with banks? How do you deal with foreclosed homes? How do you go out and find buyers? That was pretty taxing in itself, but we put classes on. We actually had a satellite TV network that we beamed into every office, so we could touch all the offices very easily. But in a good market, you know, as much as you work your butt off and you create a relationship with somebody, there's a couple things that'll happen. Number one is you may come in with a realistic price to sell this home, and this guy says, oh, I can get you $20,000 more. Guess who they're going to go with? Because I want more money. They don't want to be realistic. They want to get the most. The fact is they're going to sell it for less than what you even wanted, but they don't realize that. So it's hard. The other thing you got to teach people is I may have used you to buy or sell a home 5 years ago, but unless you keep in contact with me, I'm going to go, man, she was so good, but I can't remember her name, which is why you get those calendars and those magnets and all those silly things you get from realtors all the time. They want you to remember who they are. And so all of those things are learned. The thing at RE/MAX was because of the business model and the way it's set up, it really is more for experienced agents than beginning agents. Beginning agents have to do certain things, but because they're experienced, they already have their systems down. So at RE/MAX, it's a little bit different than some of the other companies because they have a certain expertise and maturity. They've already been, on average, they were with RE/MAX, or they had 8 years experience before they even joined RE/MAX. So that helps. But like anything else, the consumer is fickle, and they a lot of times just want to go with who they want to, what they hear is the best for them. So hope that answers.
Let's take two more questions. One over here.
What were your most self-destructive habits or traits or behaviors? How did you overcome them?
What were your most self-destructive habits or behaviors, and how did you overcome them?
Damn.
We can sit on the couch if you want to. We can answer this question on the couch, the leather couch. Yeah, great.
You know, I know people in this audience, really.
I do.
Actually, the worst thing, and I will say, is I don't work out. And I have not overcome that. I still don't work out. Sorry, I just haven't. But that, yeah, yoga would be good. No, but seriously, with all the stress I was under mentally, I really should have done, and I think that was not good for me. And I ended up having cancer twice. I had a spinal fusion. I had a lot of health things because I think I carried it with me. And I finally let it go. I mean, I don't seriously work out. I walk, you know, a couple times a day, and I do things like that. But that was one that, if I could do it over again, I would certainly take more care to make sure I turn the brain off and turn the body on more, honestly.
That's good. One more. Mr. Pritchard, you keep raising your hand.
So, you mentioned many traits here earlier. So, through many, I feel like I've gotten to hear a lot of really fantastic market stories over the years. But I got the impression a lot from talking and you're really the type of leader that people really enjoy rallying behind, following, or, you know. And one of the great things about being a leader over a lot of people is you get a chance to see a lot of people go on and be really successful themselves.
Yes.
So if you have an example of someone you're particularly proud of, that you were able to mentor them and all be really successful in their leadership, or even in another company or another direction?
Yeah.
Who's someone that you mentored or had an impact on that went on to do some of the great things that you're especially proud of?
Actually a lot. But I look at mentoring or helping people in a couple different ways. There's professional. I'll tell you one personal story is at the Remax convention, we'd give awards out, and the people would come across the stage, and Vinny and I would stand on the stage for 4 solid hours, shaking hands, congratulating every award winner. And I remember this woman came across, and you know, you have literally seconds to talk to them, and I would always say, you know, you look beautiful. Oh, what a beautiful dress! Congratulations on your award and all that. Well, the next day she came up to me and she pulled me aside. I didn't know who she was, and she just pulled me aside and she said, I just have to tell you something, okay? And she said, I just had a breast biopsy and I couldn't wear the dress I wanted to wear, and I felt so ugly until you said I looked beautiful, and look at my dress. And she walked away and she just said, thank you for making that impact. That 5 seconds can make a difference. So mentoring can be long-term, and it can be that little moment when you have a chance to talk to somebody. Another one, and this is a tough one, but there was somebody in the company that was really good, but I knew based upon some politics that I could not control within the company was not going to go anywhere. And I knew that they could go on to great things. And so at a certain point, I actually let them go and said, I feel like I'm pushing you from the nest, but I need to do this because I think you can go on. And this person just became a CEO of a very big company that I don't know would have happened, probably because they've got the skills, but sometimes you do it both ways. Sometimes you got to push somebody from the nest too and say, I know you can go on, and they did. So lots of different things like that. A lot of people going out into different companies, and hope that helps.
That's great.
So,
Let's give Margaret a round of applause.
Thank you.